Welcome to Shine On, the Health and Happiness Show. I'm Casey, and I am so excited about this show. Our special guest is Kathleen O'Connor, who is many, many, many things. A writer and a therapist and an intuitive and a dream analyst. So I have a pile of dreams that we're going to talk about on the show. But first, I have to say, what did you think of the theme music? That's new, composed by my nephew, Jake Rose, who's at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia studying composition. I've been begging him to write me a theme song. He did, and I love it. I think it's called I Don't Answer Your Texts. No, I don't know. It's a great little piece, and you'll hear it again at the end of the show. And of course, I love to start by thanking the crew because having this show is such a gift. So on that camera is my friend Kaz, and in the back control room, we have Mike DeLuca and Joe Pisano, my sister Maria, who creates our lovely set. And in the house tonight is the great Seal, Mastroelli Roars, I think is how we pronounce it all. Everyone knows her as Seal, and she does amazing work here at Cablevision, so I'm very grateful that she's on the show tonight. All right, Kathleen, welcome.
Thank you, Casey. I'm really excited to be here as well.
I'm excited too.
Can't wait to hear these dreams.
Yeah, we have a pile of dreams. Now, how do we explain all you do?
Well, what I mainly do, what I'm mainly focused on these days is my own writing and coaching other writers to help them get their work out in the world. That's my main gig right now.
So you're writing.
Right.
And coaching other writers.
Yes.
Here we have High Heels on the Hamster Wheel, a fable for the modern woman.
Right.
What can you tell us about this one?
That came out of my own experiences working in corporate America for 30 years and basically burning out from overload. So I ended up writing a fable about it that really is for women who are in the same situation.
Okay, so High Heels on the Hamster Wheel. That's book number 1. We also have a very popular book, 365 Days of Angel Prayers, that you co-wrote with Elizabeth Harper. Now, what can you tell us about this one?
Well, this we pulled together. It's an anthology. We pulled together over 160 original prayers and poems and even songs from around the world and put it into this book. So there's every day you can read an inspirational prayer. And the fun thing about this is now we sold the foreign rights, and there's going to be a Spanish language version coming out later in the year. So we're really thrilled about that.
That's very exciting. Now we get to the dream portion of our program, the Everything Law of Attraction Dream Dictionary. Kathleen O'Connor, PhD. Let's start here. Why is it the Law of Attraction Dream Dictionary?
Well, this book I did for a publisher in Massachusetts called Adams Media. They write series called the Everything series, and they wanted a book that combined dreams and the law of attraction. So that's how it came to be together, but it makes perfect sense because when you're dreaming, there's a lot of information available in your dreams that can help you manifest what you're trying to do in your waking life. So it actually was a really fun project.
Okay, so let's start right there. Dreams are a conversation between our subconscious and our conscious?
They're a conversation. The conscious mind is out of the picture, actually.
Completely.
Yeah. And it's really the subconscious that comes to the fore when we go to sleep at night. And dreams are, the main purpose is to help balance the psyche, to help us release emotion that might have built up during the day that we didn't have a chance to express, to problem solve. There's different reasons why certain dreams come to us. And the symbolism, the biggest thing I always tell people is dreams are symbolic, not literal.
Right.
So if in a dream you're at Macy's, you don't have to, qualify it by saying, gee, I never go to Macy's, because it's not about Macy's.
Not about Macy's.
Right. Macy's is just a symbol that your subconscious pulls in for some reason.
Okay. I want to go back to what you said, balancing the psyche, because I don't know what that means, balancing the psyche. I'm sure mine is off balance.
Well, then when you go to sleep at night, it tries to get sorted out. What happens is we're so busy, our lives are so busy, information is coming in all the time, that for most of us, we're on overload a lot of the time. So when we sleep at night, there has to be some balancing that goes on to help us relax and restore ourselves before we get up again the next morning. And that's the main purpose of dreams, is to figure out what went on during the day, and so to help you process it and help you even it out so that you can be sort of starting at a blank slate the next day.
Talk to the people who say, I never remember my dreams.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember their dreams. They still dream, but they might not remember them. And anyone I've had that tells me that, I give them a simple technique, which is to, before they fall asleep at night, just say to themselves, it's easy for me to remember my dreams.
It's easy for me to remember
And
my
then let
dreams.
it go. Don't try to force it. And I haven't had one person that wasn't remembering dreams within a week
Right.
of using that technique.
But doesn't it too have a lot to do with how you wake up? Because if you wake up to like a blaring
Yeah.
radio buzzer or whatever, you're boom, shot out of a cannon and into your day.
That's exactly right. The key with dreams is to try to catch them as they're waking up, or as you're waking up, I should say.
Right.
Because that state of, just as you're falling asleep and just as you're waking up, it's called the hypnagogic state. And
Oh,
you're
the
kind
hypnagogic
of
state.
in a hypnotic state.
Okay.
That's why it's called that.
All right.
And it's the easiest state in which to remember your dreams.
Right.
So if you don't wake up with an alarm, or if you wake up and you don't immediately think about something that you have to do that day, then you can possibly pull back in that dream.
Right.
And of course, I always tell people, write them down.
My alarm goes off to the sound of the rainforest. And so it's just, you know, like rain. Shh.
Yeah,
so
mellow.
I wake up gently.
Yeah, good.
And when I start to feel myself coming awake, I immediately pull back. And I don't know if you told me this or someone else that said, try it. The feeling is like to try to remember who was at your 13th birthday party. Put your mind in reverse.
Yeah.
Where was I just before? Who was there? Who was I with? What did it look like? And you can maybe start to pull up little things. Now, I'm really in touch with my dreams, mostly because I met you years ago, and you really helped me find the symbolism and the stories and what my heart was telling me in my dreams. But then there's some dreams that I call them debris dreams. And I don't know if that's a real word or not, but my husband was watching the movie Hacksaw Ridge, and I watched the beginning part of it because I really wanted to know the story about the conscientious objector and all the wonderful work he did. But then when the war scene started, I had to leave the room because I just don't have an appetite. That kind of thing really, it's not something I can put in me. So the dream that I woke up this morning with was when they held up the first gun and they said to the young actor man, this is a gift from the United States Army. That image was in my brain. So it was me carrying this gun everywhere. Everywhere. I wasn't shooting people, but I was carrying the gun everywhere. Does that have any meaning, or is that just a debris because that was one of the last things I saw before I went to bed?
No, it has meaning. What happens, what we're watching right before we fall asleep, often the subconscious will pull that symbolism in because it's fairly current.
Right.
You know, but you would still want to analyze, you would still, if I was interpreting that dream, I would say to you, on my planet we don't have guns, I have no idea what they are.
Okay.
Explain what a gun is to me. And then we try to figure it out from there, as well as whatever emotion you had in the dream, or what your thought process was in the dream. So the gun, even though it was something from a movie that you saw, it's still just a symbol.
Well, I
And
was
it's what it
actually
means for you.
in Macy's with the gun.
Ah, there you go.
No, I'm kidding about that.
It was a sale.
I'd
I'm
have,
sure.
yeah. It was. I think. I don't know. I'd have to go back. I didn't think about that one. All right, we do have a pile of dreams. Would you like to interpret
Sure,
some?
absolutely. I find it fun. So
On Facebook, I have a page called A Circle of Women, and women, men, you're welcome to join it too, I guess. It's called The Circle of Women on Facebook, and it's a great community, sorority of just women who want to live well and support each other. It's a love fest. So I posted on that page, my sister Maria had the good idea, post on the page that you're looking for dreams and maybe people will write in. Boy, oh boy, did they write in. And we're going to start with this one. Susie. Susie says she dreams of stairs, up and down, hand over hand stairs. Steep stairs, stairs that look like a jungle gym, a theme for years and years. So I wrote back, this was in the Facebook, I just printed out our Facebook conversation. How do the stairs make you feel? And she wrote back, tentative, slightly wary. And one more question, how long have you been having this dream? She says 20 years. hand over hand stairs, steep stairs, stairs that look like a jungle gym?
Well, when you have recurring dreams, it's because there's something going on that's sort of chronic in your life that you're not really dealing with. So the dreams keep coming because they're trying to get you to wake up to whatever it is that's going on, not literally, but wake up in a conscious way. Usually stairs, it has to do with what we're finding difficult to get accomplished in life. But it can be something specific, or it can be in general the way she's trying to either live her life or maybe a career she's trying to make happen, and the degree of difficulty she experiences with it. And it keeps coming back. So I would say there's something that she struggles with and has struggled with for 20 years. And that imagery keeps coming in her dreams because it's a chronic feeling that she has.
Do you think it's one thing through the whole 20 years or different things through the whole 20 years?
It could be the way she handles things. It could be the way she responds to things.
Right.
But I wouldn't be able to tell that
You'd
unless
have
I
to
sat
ask.
down with her and talked to her about it.
So stairs don't universally mean ascension.
No, stairs are going to mean something specific to the person who's dreaming about them. But because of the way she talked about them in what she wrote and her feelings in them, for her, it's about difficulty.
Okay. Wow. All right. Very good. Here's a racy one. It's a little racy. And this is from a dear friend, and I'm going to change her name. Let's call her Dina, okay? It's Sunday morning. She's taking a shower. The water running over her is soothing. Then she's under a waterfall, and it's a beautiful rainbow waterfall in the middle of a tropical jungle, and she feels so beautiful. Then she gets out of the shower. She's ready to enjoy the day. Now she's in the kitchen. She just has her robe on. And a group of people are knocking at the front door. She can see it's kids and adults, and they want to sell Girl Scout cookies. So she tells her husband, please tell them to go away. And then she tells her husband, close the curtain so I can cook breakfast naked. Okay, then she drops her robe, and she's standing naked in the kitchen. She feels like a goddess, and she keeps telling her husband, close the curtains. I don't want everybody to see me naked in the house. And then she wakes up saying, I just want to cook breakfast naked in my kitchen. And then she says, I know it's wild, right? Please don't mention my name. So what do you think of that?
Well, a couple of elements. Water in dreams is always about our emotional life. And in this case, the shower imagery, you know, this is how we sort of get clean.
Right.
And the waterfall, it's beautiful imagery she's having. So I would say that emotionally she's in flow in her life. You know, this is not somebody who's struggling with a lot of negative emotions. This is...
She uses that word flow all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the kitchen and food in dreams is almost always about how we nurture ourselves. And if you combine that with the naked part, you know, when we're naked, we're vulnerable. So this is somebody who gets nurtured by allowing herself to be vulnerable. Whether it's in relationships or it's just in life in general, she's not afraid to be emotionally vulnerable, and it feeds her soul in a certain way. That's what I would get out of that dream. But again, I would have to speak to her to really help her understand it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Knowing her, I have to say you hit the nail on the head.
Oh, good.
That is
good.
so fun. Kathleen O'Connor, PhD, is our guest. She's written a ton of books. She helps other people write their books. She's also a fabulous therapist, intuitive, and dream analyst. Amazing dream analyst, and that's what we're talking about today. How about another one?
Sure.
Okay. For years and years, I've had all different kinds of dreams, but the main theme is the same. I'm being chased. I usually don't know exactly who is chasing me, if it's one person, a group, human, not human, terrifying. Oh no, they are not terrifying dreams. More like I'm in my own action movie. My dreams are always hyper-realistic, vivid color and smells. I can feel things. I've always wanted to know why, of all the things I could be dreaming about, this theme of being chased has been popping up for 25 years.
Oh, this is another recurring one.
Recurring one.
Yeah, usually when we're dreaming that we're being chased, there is something that's chasing us, but it's not a person. It's something that we haven't dealt with or something we haven't done. So I'm going to compare it to sometimes people have dreams with insects and bugs, and I always say to them, go to the obvious, what's bugging you, because that's going to be what that dream most likely is about.
Okay.
So it's the same sort of thing with dreams where you're being chased. So there's some part of her that is chasing her, something either that she hasn't dealt with, as I said, some unresolved, either an emotion or an event in her life, or it's something, again, just like the other person who had the recurring dream. It's something about the way she handles her day-to-day life, whether she worries about whether she gets everything accomplished. If she's somebody with a big to-do list, that'll chase you when you go to bed, believe me.
Right.
You know, so it can be as simple as that. So for her, I would suggest she looks at how she manages her day,
Right.
how she handles what's on her plate, and maybe find a new way to go about that doesn't cause stress for her.
Wow. Wow. And this and the subconscious is trying to tell her this story so she can fix it?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's trying to let her know, hey, there's something that has you a little out of whack. And if you can figure out what it is, and that's the power in dreams, if you can figure out what it is that's being communicated, then you can change things.
Yeah.
Then you can alter your behavior, you can alter a habit, you can go talk to somebody if it's a relationship issue. You know, you can change your relationship with yourself. Studies have shown that dreams actually alter our chemistry of the body. So dreams are really powerful. And, you know, so I always view it as it's part of healing because it is about balancing our psyche. But they really have important messages to tell us.
Sometimes I smoke in my dreams.
Okay, so what's that about?
I don't know. I used to smoke, you know, when I shouldn't have long ago. What did I know? I was stupid. But I really enjoyed it.
In the dream?
No, in life.
Oh, no. Okay, in life.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so glad I don't do it now, of course,
Right.
because I'm health conscious. But in my dreams, I'll have a cigarette.
Yeah, so you just have to pay attention to what your feelings are around that in the dream.
Okay.
Because chances are it has to do with a habit,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know, but maybe not smoking.
Yeah. So my husband talks in his sleep.
Okay.
He can't remember his dreams, but he talks in his sleep. And I hate to say this, honey, but I'm going to say it. He's usually cursing a blue streak. My husband, the most sweetest man, mild-mannered, nothing ruffles his feathers. In his sleep, he's mad at somebody. Gosh, I hope it's not me now that I've said that. When he's not cursing in his sleep, he's saying crazy things. Like the other night, I woke up to his booming voice. It was 2 a.m. and he said, "Good one. Let's see if you got another one in you. Go get the horse." And he is sound asleep. I mean, like sleeping peacefully. What's that all about?
Oh, well, I can't tell. Sometimes our dreams are so vivid that we do, you know, talk in our dreams. I talk in my sleep also.
Yeah, his voice was clear as a bell.
Yeah.
And he was sound asleep.
Yeah, so he's talking to someone in his dream, but we don't know what it's about.
And we don't have a horse.
But the cursing, if he's somebody that's normally very even-keeled and level,
Yeah.
then chances are whatever frustrations build up during his day,
He lets him out at
he
night.
doesn't express them, so here they come at night.
I'm going to tape him. Okay, here is an epic dream.
Oh my God, that's a long one.
Yeah, well, it's big font.
Okay.
The dream starts off with this young lady is at her grandparents' house. And she walked out of the grandparents' house, and suddenly she was no longer at the grandparents' house. She was at the road where she grew up on, of her childhood home. So she walks out of, and that's happened to me in dreams. You walk out of one building, but then you're in a different town.
Right.
So she starts at her grandparents' house, walks out the door. Now she's on the street she grew up on. She noticed that a truck was coming from up the hill and another truck coming from down the hill, and she was at the crossroads. So here come 2 trucks barreling at her. She started to panic. She didn't know which way she should go. There's no sidewalk. All of a sudden, a skunk came out and seemed to be taunting her, almost following almost asking it to follow her to cross the street where she would not have otherwise gone. The truck that was coming up the hill saw her and saw the skunk and stopped and gave her a glance of reassurance and then waited patiently. Meanwhile, the truck that was coming down the hill was coming around a blind turn, couldn't see me or the situation. Both drivers were men. So in a split-second decision, she crossed the street, and the truck that didn't see her whizzed past, and she kind of sucked it in against a rock, but all was right with the world, and the skunk didn't get her either. Wow. So she's at the grandparents', walks out, she's on her childhood street, it's a hill.
Right.
A nice truck, it seems to me, like a nice truck and a not-so-nice truck, and a skunk.
Well, let me step back, because often when we dream, we're in our childhood home or street or neighborhood. Our subconscious is trying to tell us that there's some event or emotion or association with that time in life that's repeating now, meaning there might be a feeling that we had then that's coming back now. I'll tell you, it's very hard for me to analyze that without talking to her, but I'm going to give you an intuitive hit. She has a choice she has to make in her life, and that is what that dream's about. And there's something about the skunk in terms of, to me, because this is all pure intuition, the black and white is the choice making also. It's not about the skunk being, going to spray or stinky.
Because the skunk didn't spray.
No, it's about the black and white. And there's something about this choice for her that she's looking at in terms of black and white, in terms of a safe choice and a risky choice. And what I would say to her is step away from thinking of it as black and white.
Okay.
Think of it as shades of gray and look at the nuances in the choices that she has to make, and she'll be better served.
I'm sure it would surprise you to learn that there's the young man that she's in love with and then the young man that she's dating.
Oh, there we go. She has to make a choice. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. And sometimes when I can't speak to the person, I will just rely on what I feel intuitively.
Okay. Now, one truck person slowed down and looked at her nicely, and the other one was like bat out of hell. Okay, that probably describes the two men, right?
It might describe her perception of them.
Ah,
right.
Her perception of
Yeah.
them. And the skunk is saying black or white.
Right.
And follow me, make a choice.
Right.
Wow, fabulous stuff. Kathleen O'Connor is our guest. We are talking about dreams and interpreting them, and we've gone through our pile of dreams. Do you still do this kind of work? Like if people wanted to email you or get in touch with you?
Yes, I do. I still work with clients. I do counseling work. And I have people still all over the world who write to me with their dreams, email me.
You're the best.
And I'll go back to them with, what I think it's about, or I'll ask them some questions. So yeah, I use it a lot in my work.
Lo, these many years, whenever anyone comes to me with a dream, I say, you have got to call Kathleen O'Connor. You have got to call Kathleen O'Connor. Okay, so how can people get in touch with you?
Well, my website is KathleenO'Connor.com. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. I have a Facebook page that's called The Balance Whisperer.
The Balance Whisperer.
And so people can go on that as well. And, that actually came out of the work I did with dreams, that particular aspect of my business.
The Balance Whisperer. All right. Have you ever had any crazy dreams?
Oh, my God, all the time.
All the time.
I just had a dream. I'll share a dream I had last week. I am trying to work on a screenplay right now.
Okay.
And I'm also writing a romance novel. But the screenplay is the one I'm really trying to devote some time to. And, of course, everything gets in my way about it. So I go to sleep one night because I was really sort of beating myself up that I've really got to sit down and just carve out the time to do this. And I dreamt that night that I was driving in Manhattan, and there were like 6 people in the car, all these other people plus myself, and I'm looking for a parking space. And I see one on the other side of the street, but I think, oh, it'll be gone by the time I get there. But I turn around, the parking space is still there by a miracle. I pull in, the 6 people have disappeared. I get out of the car, and there's a homeless man laying like a model, like with his arm under his head, laying on a few cardboard boxes. And he says, well, it's about time. And he gets up and he says, come with me. And we go into this mansion, this absolute mansion. And he brings me into this parlor and this big round table, and he says, sit here. And then he brings me a huge book filled with blank pages. And he puts it in front of me, and he hands me a pen, and he says, write, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing.
That's fantastic.
That dream woke me up. I couldn't stop laughing.
That's great.
Because it was so obvious, obviously, what it was about. And also it was funny. The imagery was funny.
The 6 people in the car were?
Well, 6, I also work with numerology. 6 is the number of your career. So that was just a reminder that this was going to be a dream about that aspect of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about, now this was the screenplay?
This was the screenplay.
Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it,
because
but
that
I am
man's
working
coming
on
back.
it. I know. He's
That
going to
man's
be
coming
yelling at
back.
me every night.
And what did I read? The romance novel? Now, is the screenplay based on something, an incident that happened to you?
No, it's based on something that happened in Putnam Valley.
Something that happened in Putnam
But
Valley?
I'm not going to tell you what.
Were you there?
No, no.
Something happened in Putnam Valley. That's
It's a
news.
mystery.
No, I'm teasing. I love Putnam Valley. All right, so a mystery in Putnam Valley. Fabulous. And the other thing was the romance novel.
Yes, yes. I'm working on that. Is much further along, actually.
Is that too set in Putnam Valley?
No, not at all. But I'm also this summer. I'm teaching writing the romance novel for the International Women's Writing Guild. I teach at their conference in the summertime.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to get mine finished before I do the teaching and get it out there. So
That's a must. You
that's
have a
must.
deadline.
Gives me a good deadline.
You have a deadline. So people can get in touch with you if they want help writing their books.
Yes, I do developmental editing. I help with layout, with organization, as well as with marketing and helping them choose publishing options.
Fabulous. And people can get in touch with you if they want their dreams
Yes, they can, absolutely.
analyzed. And we also want to mention some of the charity work you do. You're on 2 nonprofits. Tell us about those.
Well, one is the Writing Guild,
Right, you mentioned
International
that.
Women's Writing Guild. They foster writing professionally or just for pleasure for women.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on the board of the Barbara E. Giordano Foundation, and that's again, a women's organization, 20 years in existence, but their focus now is women veterans and their families.
Women's
They're trying
veterans.
to close the gap in services for women veterans.
And they're going to have a walkathon
They're
May
having a walk
21st.
May 21st at Pace University in Pleasantville.
Great. So if you want to help women's veterans, find out about the Giordano Foundation and join us at the walk on May 21st at Pace University in Pleasantville. I am so delighted that this has all come together. Kathleen was my very first guest on my very first Shine On show. It wasn't called Shine On then. It was called
No.
Casey on the Radio.
Right.
And then it morphed into the Health and Happiness show, and now it morphed into Shine On. And that was, I don't know how many years ago.
It was a while ago.
We made
yeah.
the pilot, and
Yes.
the radio show's been going great now. The TV show is here, and I'm so glad you could be a part of it.
I am too.
One more time, your website?
KathleenO'Connor.com.
And that's Kathleen with a C.
Kathleen with a C, OCONNOR.com.
Thank you for shining on with us today, Kathleen. Thank you for shining on with us, and we'll see you next time. Listen for the theme song. That's by Jake Rose. Have a great day.